Hello everyone, my name is Emanuel Cabrera and I am a designer and a creative director that blends the appeal of cartoons with the abstract expressionism style and the rendering of fine art in order to explore the life of Jesus and other ways to be able to express our profound connection with our creator. And in this video, I will be exploring my recent artworks up until this video. I will be explaining how I did each one, how I came up with each one, the concepts, the ideas, the inspiration, the behind the scenes, the material use, you name it. I'm gonna be talking about each and every single one of these things. So at the beginning of the month of June, I went to FIU to one of their studios to take pictures of a total of 12 to 13 artworks that I had created previously. The artwork span from 2022 to now, and I can really say that each artwork has been one of my best works. Ever since in 2018 that I started developing the cartoon style, I really think that I'm in a place where I can say that my cartoon style has been developed and that it's very, very well structured. You know, I really think that everything that I want to say, I'm able to truly say it through my art. And so in this video, I'll be explaining all of that. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. All right, so this painting is called Shepherd. This one actually came from an encounter with the Lord where I just felt as if he took me and he was taking me somewhere to my purpose, to my calling, to life. A lot of abstract colors, abstract painting going on to kind of represent the presence of God, you know, kind of like that atmosphere. And there's a beam of light and there's like rivers, so it seems like if he's taking us to the light, you know, meaning something new, something greater is coming. Also it says shepherd written in Hebrew, kind of like marking that he is a shepherd. And yeah, that's this painting. This work is called The Remnant of a Process. And it pretty much talks about the beauty and the life that can come out of when we're processed. You know, sometimes we go through processes by the Lord and it feels like if we're all being absolutely destroyed, kind of like in this. But what sometimes you don't realize is that through that pain and suffering that we endure, there's life. And that's what occurring in this little figure, you know, even though everything around him is kind of being broken, including himself and some of these smaller details here. What's coming out of his heart is life, and it's blooming out in these representations of flowers and also like this beam of light. The process is what makes the end result beautiful. This next one is called Steel. And honestly, it doesn't really have a deep meaning to it. Kind of just came out of a school project where we were asked to do something without any straight lines and 3 times bigger than our original artwork. So that's why you can see there's no straight lines. Everything is curved, kind of giving it a flowy sense to it, a different sense to it, based on the scene of Indiana Jones in the first movie where, you know, he's gonna go steal the statue. But I kind of wanted it to do like a dynamic where he's kind of contemplating the act of stealing, more generalized towards, you know, maybe sin, towards doing something he isn't supposed to do, and kind of like that duality between should he and should he not, and it's just a contemplated state before the event occurs. This artwork is called Hebrews 1, and it's based on the moment that after Jesus suffered, after Jesus went to the cross and he resurrected and he ascended, he went to heaven and he took his rightful place on the throne. And that's what's occurring in this painting. Jesus, you know, walking back from everything he endured back to his rightful place on the throne, surrounded by thunder and by light, as the word says. And the angels kind of like around him saying that, you know, he is worthy of that place back in heaven. This artwork is called Why the Bush Does Not Burn Up, and is based on the Bible verse where Moses goes out in the desert and he finds the burning bush. He wonders why it's not burning up. This is pretty much the same thing that is occurring in this painting, but this one is a more like modern sense. You know, in the background there's this apocalyptic world, you know, everything is blue, but the bush is like orange, it's kind of like red. So it does that dynamic between color theory, kind of like warm colors clashing with cool colors. And it kind of emphasizes the curiosity that Moses probably would have had in the presence of God invading his environment. So this one is called Divine Defense. It's pretty much based on the fact that the presence of God protects us from the enemy. And that's kind of like what's occurring in this one, kind of like the little figure, even though he's pretty much right in front of the enemy. He has peace that the enemy can't harm him because he's outside of the presence of God, which is symbolized by this beam of light. And it's a very, you know, very simplified painting made on a small wood. All right, this work is called Spirit Breakout, and it's based on Isaiah chapter 44, verse 3, when it says, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, upon all people. And that's pretty much what is occurring in this one, where God is pouring out of his spirit, upon the people. And of course, there's gonna be joy, of course, there's gonna be happiness. That's why they're all, kind of like dancing, kind of going crazy. And it's kind of like a blend between heaven kind of like invading the lives of these characters. And yeah, it really has like a very abstract sense to it. This next artwork is called The Betrayal of Matthew 22, and it's pretty much based around one verse when Jesus says, Judas, why do you betray the Son of Man with a kiss? It's just pretty much the entire essence. It kind of marks the first betrayal, the first true pain that Jesus experienced before he went to the cross. And this is just kind of like to contemplate that moment, to kind of like express that moment. Judas kissing Jesus. Jesus already knows what's gonna happen, and that's why he's sad. I painted Judas in red to kind of symbolize that evil sense that he had in him. He was pretty much used by the enemy for this. So that's why I did it in red. The silhouettes of the soldiers in the background foreshadowing the event that is to come. This artwork is called The Spirit. Very simple one, like on a regular poster. I was really in this time experimenting when it comes to hatching and cross-hatching similar to the vintage Marvel comics of the 80s. And I kind of wanted to include that in my own cartoon style. So a lot of for example, this beam, this squiggle is really based on comics such as Infinity Gauntlet of the 80s and Marvel. The essence of this is pretty much the spirit descending down and entering into the heart of this figure, and it brings life, it brings light. And that's the message behind this, and really simple, black and white painting. This next work is called The Gift at the End of Romans 6. And the last verse in Romans 6 is verse 23, where it says, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. And that's why I painted Jesus with a gift in his hand that it says eternal life. And this one I did it on an old banner that I had, and I actually dyed it a little bit, distressed it a little bit to make it look a bit more vintage. You could zoom in a little bit on the details. Since it was a banner, I had to do a lot of layers of black and white, and that's why it's very, very rough. It has a nice texture to it. It's not fully white. You can still see a little bit of the yellow kind of seeping through, making it, not so clean, but, a little bit more detailed, especially here also in the letters. And it feels almost like if it's the same texture as a wall. And yeah, it's pretty much what the essence of this painting is. And it's honestly one of my favorites because of the size and because I was actually able to paint it on an actual banner. All right, so this painting is called The Temptation of Matthew 4, and it's actually based on a painting by Gustave Doré depicting the same exact thing. The moment where Satan was tempting Jesus to either throw himself from a place or to give him the entire world, and Jesus stood his ground and he said, I'm not gonna fall into that temptation. And that's pretty much what is occurring, but I decided to do it in my personal cartoon style. It's mixed with a little bit of abstract splatters, for example, here around the water and around Jesus's head, and a lot of, painting, kind of like watercolor painting. And then all of this is in black and white. And especially Satan and Jesus are painted on cardboard to emphasize them a little bit more from the rest of the painting. And this is personally one of my favorites. This artwork is one of my favorite artworks. It's called 40 Days. Essentially, it's pretty much expressing, the humanity that Jesus had to go through when he endured the 40 days of fasting in the desert. And it's kind of like a moment based on an actual painting that exists already. So I was actually able to find the painting. It's called Christ in the Desert by Ivan Kramskoy. A moment where Jesus is kind of contemplating everything that he's went through and he knows is gonna go through. To be able to see all of the little details on the actual painting, and you're able to still see a lot of the wood that actually stays on it. That's one of my favorite things about it, is the texture is still able to notice it. A blend between the cartoon and the realistic is also a nice dynamic that is going on here. And the border, I left it with the wood that is already there, and as you can see, there's still like some little holes on it. It makes it more raw, and at the end of the day, it's not just a random canvas that I decided to paint it on, but the actual thing that I used to paint on has a story of its own, and that's why it's one of my favorite works. And all right, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I truly appreciate it. It means a lot. Just before we go, some announcements. If you want to join my Discord chat called Divine Creatives, the link is in the bio. So in this group, we're pretty much learning and connecting as Christian creatives. I send you guys lots of free resources showing you work in progress and what I'm currently doing, but also so you guys can connect with other Christian creatives in your field to be able to collaborate and work together. And also go ahead and and follow me on Instagram. Be on the lookout for all my new posts and artworks. And if my merch is still on sale, then go to my website and purchase your shirts. Incredible quality. Go and check it out. And with that, guys, I love you guys so much and see you in the next video.